Well, I found some new low-hanging fruit. Came across this guy on Facebook and he has a YouTube channel with a ton of laughably bad videos. I'm just gonna dive into this one. I don't know if I'll get to the other ones, but I'm just gonna shoot out a quick video because I wanted to respond to this. Let me preface this too by saying I myself am not a fan of Pascal's Wager. I don't think it does anything for anyone. It doesn't tell people anything that they don't already know, and it doesn't actually help anyone come to belief. After all, if you believe in God because of Pascal's Wager, well, it's just not a good look, and your belief probably isn't gonna last very long. That being said, let's get into the cringiness.
All right, so I would rather spend my life believing in a God, because if I die and this God is not real, I've lost nothing. But if I die and he exists, I spend eternity in heaven. If I die not believing in a God, however, and I die and that God does exist, I spend eternity in hell to burn forever. This, of course, is called Pascal's Wager. The argument is that it's in one's own best interest to behave as if they believe that a God exists, because of the possibility of being eternally punished outweighs the advantages of believing otherwise. So let's get into it. First of all, there are 4,200 religions. 4,200 religions. Christianity counts for one of those. Christianity has 33,000 different sects or denominations of Christianity.
I doubt that number is accurate, but I don't really feel like researching it, so let's just say it is. It doesn't really matter anyway. Let's start with the fact that out of those 4,200 religions, there were only a couple of them who were major religions, so let's not act like they're all equal. Christians make up about 30% of the world's population. If you throw in the other major religions like Islam and Hinduism, you've got over 70% of the world, and then that number jumps up to over 80% if you count non-religious people. Now, I'm not going to make an argument from popularity here. Just because a lot of people believe something doesn't necessarily make it true. So let's also factor in the fact that there are many religions that don't believe in a God at all. Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, a lot of those Eastern religions are atheistic religions. So you can't really just lump all religions into one category. Not to mention, we know Pascal was a Christian and he was saying God. So we're really stuck with the major monotheistic religions here if we're going to be talking about Pascal's Wager.
What if you choose the wrong religion? What if you choose Christianity and choose the wrong sect or denomination? What happens then? What if you spend your entire life believing in some other God because you were born somewhere else without knowing of this God? What happens then? What if because you were born here, you didn't hear of the real God? What if he's somewhere else and somebody else worshiping him right now?
Well, here you're asking unanswerable questions. You're asking what would God do in a specific situation, which of course isn't something anybody can answer. As far as your denomination thing, 33,000 is a way overblown number. The reason you can get up to 33,000 when talking about Christian denominations is, let's say I want to open up a church for the deaf in my neighborhood that serves specifically deaf people. And that 33,000 number that you're talking about, that would count as a separate denomination. But again, these overblown numbers don't really mean anything, because when you're talking about Christian denomination, you're just talking about differences, and actually pretty small differences in doctrine. You're not going to find a Christian denomination that, for example, doesn't believe Jesus is the Son of God or doesn't believe God exists. This whole idea that God is so petty as to think that you have to have all the exact right ideas is kind of stupid, and it's definitely not supported by Scripture.
What if you spend your entire life reading the Bible and it is not the right religion? Have you thought of that?
Well, everybody's thought of that. I think the whole point of Pascal's Wager, which, by the way, I don't agree with in the least, I do think it is dumb. Once you get monotheism out of the way, religion isn't really important to the wager. So focusing on specific religions is kind of just muddy in the waters when it comes to this. Yes, it's possible that you could say believe in God and adopt a certain religion, which is what makes Pascal's Wager so bad, because he's saying that believing in God gets you into heaven, which it most certainly does not. What the wager is saying is, if you believe in God and if you follow a certain religion, of course, you're not guaranteed to go to heaven, but you're definitely more likely than if you just abandon God altogether. That brings your chances down from, heck, even if your chance is only 1%, as with your religion being real, that brings your chance down from 1% to 0.
If you're a Christian, I have to believe that someone died for me. Number one, they were born of a virgin. 2, people ate some fruit, created sin. So in order to fix all of that, God's actual son had to be born through a virgin, be killed, okay, sacrifice, rise again, and one day is coming back. I have to subscribe to all of that in order to get to your Christian's heaven. I'm a woman, I can't wear pants. Also, I can't wear open-toed shoes.
Pascal's Wager says none of this. Now, once again, you're getting into certain religions and certain denominations and muddying the waters. Yeah, there are some people who believe you have to do all this stuff to go to heaven, but if we're going to talk about the lowest common denominator, then, well, we can't really have this conversation.
The second part of this wager is that I lose nothing if I die and God isn't real. I'd like to argue that. What about the money you give to these church organizations? If you tithe regularly, you give a lot of money to the church organizations.
How does your loss of money matter when you're dead?
What about all the time that you spend talking to other people about your religion? What about all the time you spend studying your religion? What about that? What about all the time you spend praying to your God, not hearing back from it?
What does your time matter when you are dead?
What about all the guilt that's associated with your religion? Because, of course, the law was only made to show you that you couldn't live up to it, right? So you're always going to constantly be in sin. How much stress is caused on you from this guilt?
If the guilt from sin is causing you stress, you're not Christianing right. I'll just say that. But again, what does any of this mean if you're dead? If there is no God and you die and you just go into the blackness, then none of that matters. None of it means anything. If you off yourself right now, it means absolutely nothing. And if you die and you go to heaven, then your money, your time, which is infinite, and your prayers and the guilt that you feel will mean literally nothing, literally absolutely nothing compared to an eternity in heaven. This whole video is kind of dumb, but this is the dumbest part.
You believe in a God that speaks through prophets, right? You believe in angels, demons, cherubims.
Cherubims are angels.
Everything, right? You got to believe in everything in there, right? You even have to believe that a man had animals or lamb to watch a stick, stare at a striped stick, mate, and then because of this, resulted in having spotted and speckled sheep.
Biblical literalism, the non-Christians go to. Not even going to get into it.
This is what you have to believe in if you support this literature, right?
Support this literature like what? Buying Bibles?
So talk to me about it. You have to subscribe to all these different beliefs. So you believe that God chooses angels, prophets, all these things, preachers. So now you have to live your life in subject to another person because God don't talk to you. He talks to them, right? So now you're spending your life in subject to someone else who has power over you and you're an adult.
Okay, now you're kind of just making stuff up. I think you're gonna, you're on the verge of getting your own denomination in a minute.
Right, but he hasn't even studied every religion. He doesn't even know what's true and what's not.
Oh, and you do? So I should just turn this off right now because I should not listen to anything being said in this video right now. Or have you studied all 4,200 of these religions that you claim exist? Heck, listening to you talk, you haven't even studied Christianity worth a darn.
He was introduced to the religion at a young age before he could think.
1, children can think. 2, who is this imaginary preacher you're talking about?
Whatever religion you subscribe to, if you have chosen your religion based on Pascal's wager, you have made a mistake.
If you've chosen your religion based on Pascal's wager, I would wager that you're not going to be in that religion for very long, for 1. And 2, you can't possibly be doing it right because I don't know of any religion that would say you should believe this because believing the alternative would put you in hell. That's not really how it works.
And if you die and there is no God, you did waste your life.
If you die and there is no God, you did not waste your life. If you are living and there is no God, your life doesn't have any meaning. Your life is already a waste. All you are doing is going about trying to survive because that is what evolution compels you to do. You are just trying to spread your DNA. You are just trying to prolong the inevitable extinction of our species and the inevitable end of your life. When you die, you will remember nothing. You will eventually be forgotten. Everything in this universe will eventually die a heat death. So there is absolutely no point in anything if there is no God. So if you die and there is no God, you have not wasted your life. Your life was a waste to begin with.
You did waste your life talking to an imaginary friend who wasn't going to talk back. You spent your life thinking you were not good enough. And the reason that they wouldn't speak back to you is because you did something wrong.
This feels like projection. Like this feels like projection hardcore. I don't feel like that. Did you feel like that? I bet you did. Yeah, you're projecting right now, man.
If you give your money and you don't get blessed, it's called something you did, right? But if you get blessed, it's all him.
Well, that's not Christianity. That's that prosperity gospel right there.
Don't let anybody hit you with Pascal's wager, and if they do, play this video for them.
If they know what they're talking about, don't play this video for them. You're going to get embarrassed. And honestly, he should be embarrassed for making this video.
And always remember, no candle loses its flame by lighting another.
But all candles do eventually melt and go out because candles are meaningless and life is meaningless and we're all going to die.
Listen to the bass. Listen to the bass. Listen to the bass. Stanley on the bass. Stanley